Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. I'm Danny, and today Jade.com talks with Amal Bennett Judge, a marketing and communications consultant for Groundswell. Now, if you haven't heard about them yet, Groundswell is a nonprofit that builds community power through community solar projects that share power, savings, and economic opportunities. And if you're new here to this podcast, remember to press subscribe on YouTube or in your podcast app, because today we learn how clean energy can be a powerful tool to empower lives. Hi, Amal, and welcome to our podcast.
Hi, Danielle. As they say in Brazil, tudo bem.
Yeah, to the vein around here. And how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling amazing. I'm feeling inspired by all these solar superheroes that are getting together locally and globally to leverage the power of the sun.
Wow, that's awesome. So let's begin with that. I'm very interested in knowing how did the Groundswell trajectory begin? Tell us a bit about your history.
Well, so during the Obama years, the Obama era, a golden era in the 21st century, many youth were inspired to continue with community activism. And so there were some youth who were inspired by some people in Obama's administration. One of those people, Van Jones, a superhero in the environmental movement, decided that they wanted to start a nonprofit to assist with green jobs. And so Groundswell continued and into many different programs, and it's developed of what it is today, where it provides energy efficiency and solar for all.
Oh, that's great. And how did you get involved on that?
So the way that I got involved with Groundswell is I was Michelle Moore, who's this chief executive officer of Groundswell's intern in 2008 under the Obama administration. So she was chief sustainability officer. So some of her responsibilities included greening the federal government and making them more green. Now, during my White House years, the agencies that I was shocked that were the most sustainable was the US Navy and then also the US Army. Moreover, some of the most interesting things that I got to work on while interning for Michelle was her engagement of African energy ministers during the African Union meeting in DC. And even though we didn't keep in contact, my next door neighbor decides to run for public office, where the state where I'm from is the state of Georgia. And we have five people that determine the cost of utilities in Georgia. So, utilities is the electricity cost. Uh, are there going to be solar subsidies of where I live? And so she decided to run for office. I volunteered and then I reconnected with Michelle over a decade later. And we reconnected at a solar energy conference. And I asked her, I said, do you guys need any assistance? And she's like, Amel, you have to get the gab. You like to talk. You're great people. So how about I bring you on as a consultant? And since then, it's been an amazing journey of becoming and leveraging the sun.
Wow, that's a really interesting story. I like to hear it, and I like those encounters that, even after a really long time, people will still get connected and they feel a sense of purpose. So that's truly inspiring. And when I was doing my research about you guys, I read something that I found that's very appealing. Let's put it that way, because in your mission, you say that you build community power, right? And I like this idea of community power. So
All
let's
right.
talk about how Groundswell really works. How do you do that?
So it's so funny. We have so many programs. I'm actually going to go to our website. But the way the grounds work, it's powered by the people for the people. And so the nonprofit's based on the energy and the genius of people. And what I love about this organization is when they're engaging different stakeholders in different cities, They don't tell people the policy side of what they should do. They ask them what they would like to do and how does Groundswell assist. For instance, one of the things that we have in the US, which I think you guys have in Brazil, is an historically Black college and university. It was created after Reconstruction, after slavery. And one of the famous schools that we have is a consortium of Black colleges and universities um, in the city of Atlanta, called the AUC, the Atlanta University Center. And it encompasses Morehouse, Spelman, Clark, Morris Brown, and one of the famous alumni includes Martin Luther King, Spike Lee, and Samuel Jackson. And so one of the things that Groundswell worked with other community stakeholders was they wanted to create a resiliency hub. So what is Resiliency Hub? Resiliency Hub is anytime there is a natural disaster or a power outage that communities would be able to have power while utility companies figure out how to get the power back working. And so the way that Groundswell worked is they didn't talk at the community. They asked the community, okay, how do we assist? So they decided that they wanted a resiliency hub at the AUC. And then the community also decided that they wanted a community hub in the outside of the university because the university actually has gate around it. And so the community elected a church, Shiloh Baptist Church. And Shiloh Baptist Church is a historic Black church in Atlanta where a famous educational luminary, Benjamin E. Mays, taught. Benjamin E. Mays is very historic because he was Martin Luther King's mentor, and he was also president of Morehouse during Martin Luther King's matriculation. And so when Martin Luther King's parents did not support him in protesting and organizing, his spiritual father, who we refer to as the spiritual father, Dr. Benjamin Mays, did. And he also called him his intellectual father. And so they decided to also make this church a resiliency hub. So if the power comes out, anyone can go to this church to get water, tools, charge their cell phone, refrigerate their medicines, and get assistance. And so the resiliency hub includes energy. We're currently in the talks with who's going to possibly donate a battery system, energy storage, and then there'll be solar panels on top of the church. So when Groundswell says community power, they mean that in every aspect. They don't tell people what to do. They ask, how do they assist? And that's where the conversation starts.
That's wonderful. And thank you so much for this lesson, this history lesson. I love to hear about it. I think it really makes a lot of sense to the work that you're doing right now, right? And another project that I found here and that I was very interested in is that Save with Soul.
So Save with Soul is another program that's in Georgia. So where Michelle Moore grew up is in a place called LaGrange, which is on the border of Georgia. And LaGrange is a rural area in Georgia. And, you know, my mom used to always say that charity starts at home. And I think it's amazing because Michelle went back to her roots. Even though she worked in federal government and had fancy titles during the Obama administration, she decided to take her skill set, her talent, and her passion back home. And she started a program where she provides energy efficiency upgrades to homeowners. And one of the things that she found that interrelates is housing equity, the ability to have affordable housing, but also the ability to have support to make energy efficiency cost. And so she did that. And with their program, they've been able to help government subsidize housing, but also to do advocacy in affordable housing.
Wow, this is really visionary. And just so our listeners know, we're gonna talk a bit more about other projects here, but you can access all this information on your website, right? That is groundswell.org. Please check it out. We're gonna have this link on the description of this episode, but also on our website. And go there. It's stunning. I gotta say this. It's one of the most beautiful websites I've ever seen, and the information is super easy to find. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, so Michelle Moore, the CEO, she's all about aesthetics. She loves art. She loves local art. And one of the things that I admire about the organization is every month they patronize local artists to create this amazing artwork um, for the website and different marketing materials. And that's why the website looks beautiful because it's community powered with genius who of people who leverage the sun in the most positive aspects ever.
Wow, it's really shown and it's great. I really love the website. I gotta say this. I don't think I can highlight it enough. Also, you have other projects, and another one that I was quite interested to know more about. It's the labs, right? Because there is a research and development sort of take on this, right?
Wait, could you say the last project again?
Yes, the labs.
Oh, absolutely. So one of the things is not only does is Groundswell powered by community power, but they're also empowered by science and data. And we have an amazing doctor named Dr. Elvis, who's extremely passionate about numbers and using numbers to reveal opportunities of how we can help communities with community power. And he's done some innovative projects with North Carolina. And then their most recent project, where North Carolina, they found out the biggest energy burdens is actually in the rural areas. And so, with that, he was able to make light the huge opportunities of serving rural area with community power and making solar more affordable, but also energy efficiency programs to help homeowners with cost, but also with helping to save the environment. And then with his most recent project with Lyft, he highlights that more people are more than satisfied with community solar projects all over the country. He does 3 different reports that reveal the power of community solar programs and how people are satisfied with their services. And we recently did an amazing webinar with our partner Elevate, DOE, and it was sponsored by Bank of America. And it talks about how community power is the biggest sector that's growing in the US when it comes to solar.
Wow. Yeah, I said this before we begin. I'm really interested personally in all of those ideas and new projects and research process about sustainability and clean energy. And our company also, it's very, very interested on working more on that and contributing as much as we can to keep fostering this researches. And one thing that I kept thinking when you were telling me about your programs is, how do you get in touch with those communities? How do you find a need and then get into action?
So one of the things that Groundswell is great at doing is they empower community leaders. Like for instance, when Michelle connected with me, I was based in Atlanta. Michelle's based in Richmond, Virginia, even though the headquarters of Groundswell is in DC. And she empowered me to reach out to the city of Atlanta and use my connections. So the company builds themselves on community leaders that care about the community, and then they build community power from there. For LaGrange, she connected with Leon Childs, a person who is running for office, but beyond that, and more importantly, he cares about the people, and he's always advocating at the commission meetings and sitting meetings about the people of LaGrange, and she connected with him, and now he runs the cell program for LaGrange.
Wow, I got it. And it's really within the communities. This is brilliant. And now let me ask you a question about the future. Where do you see Groundswell in the future? What are your next steps, maybe to 5 or 10 years ahead?
So, one of the things that I'm super excited about is when people think about the city of Baltimore, they think about everything that's negative and wrong with America. But the city of Baltimore is what's everything that's right with resiliency and sustainability. Currently, Groundswell has two projects where they have these two resiliency hubs chosen by the people, which are faith based. And if the power outage goes out, they have power, but beyond that, they're using them as community centers to build and empower people. But that pipeline can expand to over 32. There's a possibility that there will be 32 energy resiliency hubs in the city of Baltimore. And also the work that Groundswell is doing by connecting with minority institutions like historically Black colleges, universities, and bringing partnerships with NREL, which is our National Renewable Energy Labs, where they bring free consultancy to these institutions to help them lead the green revolution to an evolution for sustainability, whether it's economic or environmental or health for everyone.
Oh, that's going to be something really interesting to see in the future. And how can our listeners and everybody else can help you to achieve that goal?
Well, one of the things that we want to do is we want to tell news stories about places that normally have negative stories. So spreading the word about the city of Baltimore. Like I said, when people think of the city of Baltimore, they think of famous shows like The Wire or a drug epidemic. But these cities are empowering themselves by telling themselves a news story, by elevating their power and getting a diverse portfolio of different energy sources. And they're doing that strategically by working with community leaders through faith-based organizations, government organizations, and they're creating this model that can be implemented all over the country. Recently, with the work that Groundswell has done in the city of Baltimore, we've had entities from New Orleans call to ask, how can this be implemented in the city that has been plagued by natural disasters recently? And to see how their faith-based centers can do a similar model. So as Groundswell develops, just spread the word that people are not waiting for federal mandates or federal bills to be passed. People have been doing the work by empowering themselves through the genius of people.
Great, great. And I fully believe on that. It's necessary for people to, spread the word always. And let's talk about donations. What is the best way to donate to you to keep you going?
So on Groundswell's website, if you go to www.groundswell.org/donate and then another / that you can donate. It's a 501c nonprofit, and you can donate whatever amount that you would like. It's tax deductible if you are in the United States, and you can donate from one time to numerous times, but you can go on our website and donate and make and have your money count, and moreover, to invest in these institutions that will be here longer than we will be, and to create that 100-year legacy of solar and a green legacy for all when it comes to sustainability.
Yes, absolutely. People, please get in touch. Go to their website, donate, contribute, or if you're just interested and want to help in another way, as we said, spread the word. This is great help already. So thank you so much, Amal, for this talk. I loved learning more about you and about the work that you're doing there.
Okay, and I would also like to give a shout out to Michelle Moore. She's coming out with a book this week called Rural Renaissance. And she talks about how sustainability sector, the biggest opportunity for sustainability and solar energy is actually in rural areas, and they're disproportionately impacted by the energy burden. So you're looking for an inspirational narrative of her becoming this amazing powerhouse and the sustainability sector, and also inspired of what we can do policy wise by empowering the community. I suggest you check out her book, Rural Renaissance.
Wow, that's wonderful. Thank you. And thank you also for your listening. And if you enjoyed this episode, remember to press subscribe on YouTube or in the podcast app, because that shows the algorithm that this is an important conversation, so more people can learn about the importance of the grounds work. Bye, and see you at the next episode.
Ciao, as they say in Brazil. Thank you so much.
Yes, ciao.